Okay, so here we go. All right, Jason. So thanks for doing this, by the way. Thanks for jumping on our call. Today we just had a coaching call. So what we're going to do is we are basically going to share what Jason has been up to the past 12 weeks, how he's managed to lose 21 pounds past 12 weeks, and that's 10 kilos. That's what the lightest you said you've been in, what is it, 20 years?
Yeah, since I was 26. Long time
since
ago.
you were 26, yeah, nice. So, sorry, Jason, I'm just trying to open up, get this on full screen. There we go. All right, Jason. So I'll let you first of all introduce yourself and just say what you do, who you are, what's your life. Go on.
So I'm Jason. I'm a director of a company, part owner of a company called Contagious in Edinburgh, based down in Leith. We work predominantly within the drink sector, do a lot of experiential work from packaging up to brand homes, visitor centres. And from the last 5 years, I would say the last 6 years, has been a bit of a challenge. I had 3 lots of knee surgery over the last 5 years, which resulted in kind of nerve damage. And then over the last 3 years, it was basically trying to figure out why I was having so much pain in my legs, etc., which resulted in them finding out that I needed 1 hip replacement and 1 hip reconstruction. So I've been living pretty much with chronic pain for the last 4 or 5 years. So that when I knew that I was going to be out of kind of surgery the end of January this year, I decided that I wanted to do something different, do something about it, basically, and use the opportunity of having 2 new hips to get back to the way I used to feel before I had all the operations over 5 years ago.
Yeah, quite young to be getting the hip replacement.
Yeah, very young. I'll keep saying very young to be getting at that age. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Jason. So, tell us a little bit what was life like for you before we embarked on this 12-week transformation that we've done down here. Like what were your struggles? What was going on in your head and stuff? What was life like with the family at home, and what were things like for you?
Yeah, I think it was tough. Work was, as work is, it's busy, stressful, and was taking up pretty much all of my time. I wasn't spending much time with family, especially with my wife. My son wasn't getting my attention either. It was very much that I was probably not concentrating things in the right place, and wasn't really getting out and about when I had the opportunity. And it was an existence, I would say. It was just day to day. But my work-life balance was all over the place, just not working realistically, which was affecting not just family, but it was also affecting work as well.
Yeah. And tell me how was that affecting work?
I think it's just concentration really at work and being productive in what I was doing. I was probably spending a lot of time being a busy fool, spending time getting involved in things that really I didn't need to be involved in, probably skipping around some of the bigger issues, and not really focusing on what the kind of the bigger picture was and the bigger challenges were, and digging too much into detail in the day-to-day.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned family there. Like how was that affecting family life?
I think my frustration at work was being brought home. So it was very much just sitting and working then when I got home, or trying to catch up on stuff that I thought I needed to do. Wasn't spending enough time with the family at all. Well, weekends were still, very much about me trying to catch up again at work. So we were spending time together, but not quality time. So yeah, it wasn't brilliant.
Okay. And what do you think would have happened if things continued the way they were?
I think it would have just snowballed, to be honest. I think work would have just completely taken over. I think from the family point of view and the relationship point of view, it would have put more strain on that. And it would have been we'd have probably become more distant as a family, I think. And I think it would have been just a struggle. I think I could just see it going in one direction of kind of becoming a hard work, just to do things as a family and to sit around together. And I think that would have only been detrimental to the relationship with both my wife and my sons.
So what about like yourself? Like how did you feel about yourself at the time?
I didn't feel brilliant. I didn't feel good in myself. I wasn't confident. I was losing my confidence. I didn't feel fit, healthy. It was a struggle sleeping, and then I was getting up early, going to bed late. Just overall, just feeling sluggish and slow and just kind of cloudy.
Cloudy?
Yeah, very much so. It was almost just like a brain fog, almost just not concentrating, not being able to concentrate, and just really not focusing properly on anything I was doing, really, and then focusing on the wrong things.
Okay. Cool. Like you've not only just lost the 10 kilos during this program, you've lost the weight, right? And we'll get into that in just a moment. But like in the past, before we met, right? What solutions were you looking for? Right? Like what ways were you looking to improve your life? What were you doing?
I think, well, realistically, because of the issues that I was having with my legs, it was trying to reduce pain. So I was on a lot of medication, a lot of painkillers, also a lot of medication for nerve pain. So yeah, a pile of tablets, and I went to the gym. I could still just about go to a gym and turn over on a bike and do a bit of upper body stuff, but realistically, it was just I was just turning up to do that. So I wasn't doing much more than that, to be honest. I wasn't looking at what I was eating either. Just getting on with it without even thinking about it.
Let's look before that as well, right? What approaches had you tried to get physically in a better place?
Yeah.
To drop the weight and get fair and stuff. Like you spoke about, you've always like you enjoyed going to the gym and working out and stuff, but something that you struggled with was the diet side of things, right? Tell me about a little bit about that, Jason. Like what were your struggles at the time?
I think I could lose weight. I always thought my weight fluctuated quite a lot, and then I always had the issue of I could drop so much. I could drop 5 kg, get down to about 72 kilograms, and I could just not push it any further. And I just blamed that on a fluctuation of weight. So I'd done classes within the gym. I'd had a nutritionist and a personal trainer at the gym, okay. But it never seemed to work. I got to a certain point, and then that would be my level, and then I just blamed it on that it was just the way I was, just my metabolism.
Okay.
So I did try a number of things previously.
Right. Why do you think that didn't work for you?
I think because it was just doing something. It was very much about food and exercise, and that was it. It was about rocking up and turning up and doing it, and then going home, and then turning up the next day and doing it, and then going home, and turning up doing the same thing and then going home. And I think it wasn't rounded in what that approach was. It was very much two things instead of probably looking at what the bigger picture was.
Okay. You would like to smash that phone up there.
I did, yeah. It's a why is it in here?
Let's go. Let's go.
It's not even worked.
All right. So, what has been different about this? Like, why has this worked for you? Like you mentioned there, look, you've done personal training, you had a nutritionist, you've tried all sorts of stuff. Like, why did that not work? And why has this worked for you? Like, what's been different about this?
For me, it's been mindset. It's been a more rounded understanding of why I'm doing this and where I want to be, and then where do I want that to go to in the future. So I think by understanding, what's important to me, and actually being quite selfish about this, and it being more about self-care than it is about worrying about what you're doing for everybody else. So I think it's been much more rounded. I've learned stuff about myself. I've discovered stuff that I probably already knew, but I've just never put it down on a piece of paper. And I think just by doing that alongside, obviously looking at the food, the weight loss, and actually starting to get fit again, it just gives you a clarity of kind of why you're doing it, which then makes it easier to do. It's not as though it's a tick box exercise. It's a discover and educate exercise.
You mentioned there that you've learned so much about yourself. Is there any lesson that you want to share with us? Like something that you've learned about yourself that you weren't aware of, maybe? Like maybe you knew but you weren't aware of before. Like what lesson have you picked up?
I think I think the biggest lesson is just to stop and take some time and just think about yourself. I think some of the exercises that we've done during the 12 weeks, I would never have normally stopped my day and just ring-fenced time and gone off and just written down certain things. And I always thought I wasn't that kind of person that did that. That was for everybody else. But I think by doing it, you're actually reinforcing what you're thinking, but you're embedding it back in. So that they are, what your values are or what you actually want to achieve, but without actually putting it down on a piece of paper and looking at it and having it there in front of you. I think it's easy to go in, just swirl around in your head.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really good insight, I think. Just being able to slow down, and really look at where I am and where I'm going with this, So yeah. Tell us a bit about the process that has got you to where you are now. Like, what has it been like for you? Like, was it what you expected when we first joined up, or was this something completely different to what you expected? Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it simple, straightforward? What would you have to say about that?
it wasn't what I expected. When we first started, I think I was expecting to get a lot more guidance at the beginning, to be given almost as I have been everywhere else, which was like, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to eat, this is when you're going to do it. And that's what I expected, to be honest. What I didn't expect was there was going to be a lot of self-discovery within that to start to lay the foundations before you can then actually push on further. And I think the fact that you need to discover that yourself is one of the major parts of what I've learned, because without that I wouldn't have understood the foods that I was eating, why I was eating them, the exercises I was doing, how that was tying in, and then actually the exercise that we were doing that allowed to give insight into the reasons why this was all happening from that point of view. So I think it wasn't what I expected, and I think it's also been good to give you permission to call me out. I think, as we said at the very beginning, it doesn't happen very often. It's within the work environment. Yes, it happens at one level, but not every day. It doesn't happen at home. You don't get called out, to the point of, you've got to look at this, or you should not get the answer to that question, go find it for yourself. And I think that was also unexpected.
So what did that do for you, do you think?
I think it makes you think harder about what you're doing. And I think that can be, at certain points, challenging, can be difficult, because you're questioning what you've always thought was right, or the direction you want to go in. And that was probably more challenging than the thought of losing the weight. I think because you're looking at things together, it becomes much more rounded, and therefore the thing that you originally was looking at, that's kind of weight loss and the healthiness, kind of comes with it. The self-analysis is probably the hardest thing to do.
Cool. How is life different now? Like what's different about your day-to-day life? I know we had a coaching call before this. We looked at it was quite that interesting exercise that we looked at was the 30 reasons that we had you to write down 30 reasons why achieving this goal, how that would serve your life better, right? Family and your business and stuff like that. And at the time you wrote down all these reasons, but they were just bits of ink on paper. They weren't really, you weren't there yet at the time. And now going through that today, that's just 10, 11 weeks in, we're looking back at that and we're like, you know what, I've achieved all those things. This is actually happening. It's become real in my life. Like, tell us a little bit about those things. Like how is life different for you? How has this impacted your life?
Across many different things. So I think it's impacted on my relationship with my family, with my wife and my son. Just spending more time, doing more things together, ring fencing time. The use of time as well has changed considerably. The old work-life balance cliche, but I've re-looked at how I structure my days, when I work, when I focus, when I concentrate, when I stop. And instead of trying to fit things in around my working day, I now schedule my work in around what I need to do to make myself feel better. I think it's made me look at my weekends differently, what I do during the weekend. It's made me think about what we're eating as a family, sitting down and eating together instead of all of the three of us eating separately. And I think just the fact that I'm now starting to think about, well, what could we do differently, or what can I do differently from the business perspective and from a personal perspective, not just next year, but the next 5, 10 years. And does it have to be what I thought it would be? And do I have to follow what I thought was the path to take? So with that, from kind of the personal side, but then also looking at it from the point of view of the fitness and the challenges, it's now, what can I do next after doing this in 12 weeks? What could I do in another 12? And, you know, once we get kind of move forward again, it's setting different challenges, but also looking at, you know, could it be a personal challenge? Is it just like a new hobby or something that I wouldn't have thought of doing previously?
Nice. Are you surprised by the results that you've gotten in such a short space of time? Like, it's not a long time, 12 weeks, is it?
No. Very, yeah. I think when you start, in your mind, you go, yeah, that's going to lose 20 pounds. That's no problem. And then the first couple of weeks you do lose quite a bit, and then it slows, and then you push it on again and lose a bit more, and then you think there's no danger I'm going to get there. But I think, yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised over the time frame, but I was also surprised how good I felt when I was doing it. It wasn't that I was miserable because I wasn't eating, or it wasn't because I was miserable because I was constantly knackered, but because I was sleeping. You know, I'd gone from sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night to 7 to 8, and still fitting in everything else I was doing anyway. So yeah, it was a big surprise.
Why do you think that is?
Just because it's past experience, you expect things to be a certain way, and you expect to make progress or make gains on things like weight loss and your physical side, that it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be miserable at points, and you're not going to want to do it. You're going to want to, you know, push the boundaries of, you know, what you can and you can't eat. But it doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way for me. It was all very much about the bigger picture of what I was doing during a day, during a week, during a month, and piecing that together.
Nice. Would you say that you've enjoyed the whole process overall? Has it been like a fun experience, or not so much?
It has been fun. I have enjoyed it. I think at the very beginning, when it wasn't what I expected it to be, I was a bit, oh Christ, here we go. What have I let myself in for here? I'm not getting what I thought I was getting. But yeah, from that point on, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Nice.
How would you describe your coach? So obviously that's me, right? Like, what would you say?
Yes. Actually, very understanding, very structured, very thoughtful, and fun to work with, I think. And with permission, puts the foot down at the right time, or doesn't give you what you need at the right time. I think it's for me, working with you has been just as much about what you've not told me as what you've told me. And I think that is something that I've really enjoyed. It's to be challenged, and to be taken out of your comfort zone, which is, you know, most people, it's the way that I work. Normally, it's to be challenged and push further. So that I've enjoyed. I think if it had been just dictating, then that would have been fine.
Nice. Are you proud of what you've achieved?
Yeah, very proud. Very proud of what I've achieved. Yeah, I didn't think it would be, I didn't think it'd be such a big change. And I think that's made me really proud of what I've done.
Nice.
Definitely.
Nice. Okay, so I appreciate today, Jason. We'll just wrap up. Thanks for jumping on. one last thing before we go, like what would you say to someone thinking about getting in touch with me about doing this?
I think do it. I think get their initial conversation, speak to you. It's not a one size fit all. It's very much about understanding each individual person, and I think it's an investment that I would suggest anybody makes, not just from a financial investment, but actually from an investment into how you can look at yourself in a different way, and actually how you can get results from that, from a mindset perspective and from a physical weight loss perspective.
Nice. All right, Jason. You have a nice day. And,
I will do. Thanks a lot, Christian.
Speak soon.
Speak to you soon. See you later.
Cheers. See you later.